Hey, ladies and gentlemen. So for today's episode, we are hoping to speak to those of you who love reading, and if you don't love reading, we hope that this will inspire you to pick up a book, because what we're talking about is some of the books that changed our lives.
You know, when you're reading, it's really up to you to envision what the author is trying to share with you, right?
Exactly. So for today's episode, we wanted to share with you 2 books each that completely changed our lives.
See, she changes my life. She fixes my
with
hair.
a little flick of the finger. So I got into reading because of my dad, and he didn't really, put it in our faces, you must read. But what he did do is made sure that we had a fully stocked, library. We had shelves upon shelves of books, and there were all sorts of books, autobiographies or, fiction, non-fiction, geography kind of books, things about what's happening under the ocean. It was so interesting about different countries.
I used to love encyclopedias.
Yeah, me too. Because he worked as a journalist, so he had access to amazing kind of books at reduced prices. So when I started reading books, it was more like Goosebumps and all that kind of stuff. And then the first book,
I read Goosebumps.
Yeah, and Famous Five and all those kind of But when I transitioned into okay, let me read more adult books because I was getting older. The first book and the first author I picked up was James Patterson, and I think he is the person who led me to fall in love with reading, which ultimately led me to fall in love with literature. It influenced what I then even took as an elective in uni. So I've got a random James Patterson book, but the first book I picked up was actually Kiss the Girls.
Okay. I've never read that one.
It's so good. It's even been transformed into a movie. There's also Along Came a Spider, which was the second book I read, and I think in that one, even the actors who played in these movies were people Denzel Washington, I think, and Morgan Freeman as well.
Right.
They were big hits and stuff like that. But James Patterson, I think, is the person who allowed me to delve into oh gosh, it could be so crazy and romantic or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And because of that, I ended up choosing literature because I loved to read, and it just really helped shape my life.
Yeah, actually, I guess in a way it brought us together, because if it weren't for that, you wouldn't have been writing on your blog, and then you wouldn't have had the credentials to apply for a job at Capital. So that's so cool.
Yeah.
James Patterson, good on you. Okay, so my first book, it's just I have a random version here.
Okay.
But I used to love going to the library. So my mom would take myself and my friends to the library 3-4 times a week. And one of the first ID cards I ever got was my library ID card, which still works to this day.
Wow.
Yeah. And now it's the library has evolved to have digital content and stuff like that, so I can actually still log on and get a lot of content from that. But I'm not in Canada right now. So anyways, my favorite section at the Agincourt Public Library was the travel book section.
Oh.
So from guidebooks to, obviously, aside from encyclopedias and things like that, I loved looking at the atlases, and then the larger, the prettier, the more vivid, and then I would kind of pick a country and then go grab the travel guidebook. And the other thing was reading up on goldfish. I know, really strange. Lonely Planet, Brat Guide, we can go on forever. There's so many guidebooks. But in this case, East Africa was actually one of the first ones I did pick up. This is a newer print version. I have the older versions somewhere in my stuff in Canada where it's all scribbled down, because this is before you had apps and you had websites and things like that. So you would actually travel with something. I know it seems very touristy, and I have actually not looked through this in years because I don't really
need it anymore.
Yeah, but it's just a good reminder to have a guidebook at home to remember that there's still so much to see up there, and if you're bored, maybe just open a page and it's hey, actually, I have not been there.
Yeah, that's really cool to think it started when you were a child, and now look at you. My second book is one that I picked up about 5 years ago, maybe 6, and it is The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, who also wrote The Secret, which was this big selling book, which I haven't ironically read.
Really?
I just jumped into The Magic.
Okay.
And this book completely transformed the way I view life. There's a quote that's, I think it's in this book or maybe another one of her books, but it just basically says, life isn't happening to you, life is responding to you. And I mean, to this day,
really
I know, even though I don't always consciously live my life thinking, okay, I'm in the moment, I'm grateful, I'm aware that I should be. And I think that in itself is pretty amazing. So I can always just like get myself out of it.
I love how there are practice like sections, so it's like an actual practicum.
Oh yeah.
After every chapter.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like so much stuff happened. My life completely changed when I got my hands on this book. And it so happened that it was like a few months after a bad breakup, and I was like, oh god.
That inspired the blog.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I just need something to just get me in the right mindset. And I picked up this book. And
so 28 days. So you're meant to read this every single day.
Yeah, and there's like practices every day as well. And it just to sort of get yourself into the mindset of just being more aware of your thoughts. And they even brought to mind, have you ever sometimes driven somewhere and you just can't remember how you got from A to B, or you don't really remember how, I don't know, you just were in your thoughts in the moment. So of course you're conscious and you're driving. It's not like you just disappeared, but sometimes you're not aware what happened between A and B, and they said like you really need to be in the moment to constantly be there. Yeah, exactly. And to make sure that the energy you put out is good energy, and just basically to be responsible for the energy that you do put out.
Okay, so my last book, I don't have physical copy anymore because I gave it away.
Yeah.
And in the cover I actually wrote, books are not meant to collect dust. So, pass it, give it to someone.
I feel the exact opposite of that.
I know, she likes...
I will never. I'll be like, I can recommend a good bookstore you can get it from.
Get your own copy.
Get your own copy.
No.
Might even gift you one, but I hold on to my favorites. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, some of them, definitely. And I kind of, when we thought about doing this topic, I was thinking, I wish I still had it. But then at the same time, no, because it's shared now. And I don't even know where it is.
Hopefully it helps someone.
Yeah, in
good
hands somewhere. But it's called Holy Discontent by Bill Hybels. Published by Zondervan. Yeah. So Holy Discontent, look it up. So Holy Discontent is a great book to read when you're sort of exiting university or college, or that time where you're trying to choose a path for yourself, but at the same time, you're still young and vivacious about let's pursue your passions. So the book is about how do you find your passion, that fire, and under like Christian thought, that's what's called Holy Discontent. What makes you feel really upset and discontented, and something that you want to do and fix in this world. That passion, find that, and then how do you use that and move forward in your life through your career paths, to your relationships, and how you put it together. And when I read that book when I was 20 actually, it was a time where I really had so many things I wanted to accomplish in life, and even to this day. But it was a great way to hone down to one or two specific things that you knew was one of your passions, and perhaps that could evolve into your calling. And I realized storytelling was definitely my calling. I didn't know where, but just realizing that was enough to then, provide me the next point of my journey. So you start applying to things, you start traveling, you start seeing different things, and then the opportunities come to you.
I'm actually curious, how many of you guys are just done with uni and are trying to transition into work and are trying to figure that out? But more so, even as you were talking, I thought you don't have to even just be in that stage of life. You could be, 30 and you have been in your career for 10 years and you're just no.
Because you don't want to feel empty after several years of pursuing a specific craft.
And
why I'm saying it's a great book to read when you're a little bit younger is let's not make the mistakes that other people have made.
Yeah.
Right? Let's try and put our best step forward
Yeah.
now. If you get a chance, get the book. I think it's only like $10 US. You can get it on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's not very expensive.
I'm sure, like all these books generally are around 1,000 shillings to maybe 2,000. I don't know how much this would
So guidebooks are usually more expensive. But now you can not read a guidebook. You can go online. Yeah. So I think we're okay
You just
with
need
that.
a nap. I hope that this video inspired you in one way or another. I actually learned quite a bit about Susan. No, I'm not kidding. It was really interesting.
When I took out this book, she's like, isn't that really touristy?
I was like, do you know what kind of video we're doing? She was like, yeah, it changed my life. I was like, wow, I can't wait to hear what she actually
literally.
said. Yeah.
Physically. Geographically.
Wow. If you've got any great book recommendations, we would love to hear them. Because you never know, it could be the book that we need to reach out for next that we get inspired. Or any one of you guys watching this could also pick from the list down below. Thank you for watching.
Thank you and happy reading, and we'll see you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Check out our 2 Cents playlist for more videos and don't forget to subscribe.